Hello, and thank you for joining us. In this presentation, we're going to be talking about document intake and searching with the Alfresco Digital Workspace. It's all about making it easy and robust. Now, you're probably wondering if you should be watching this video. Well, here are a couple of questions to help you get to that answer. Do you need to search for documents using business-specific metadata? Is it critical to make the document intake process easy for your users? Do you need to ensure users see documents that relate to each other without assigning related metadata? Well, if you answered yes to any of these questions, it probably makes sense to watch this video. So let's get started. Here we are in the Alfresco Digital Workspace interface, and of course, our objective is to get our documents into the repository as quickly and easily as possible. So, to that end, let's click Document Drop Zones, and we're presented with a number of drop zones, or really hot zones. And the idea is to drag a document into one of these hot zones, say a bank loans document. By virtue of dropping in there, it'll automatically upload that document into the repository. Now, with that document uploaded into the repository, what will happen is it'll automatically assign a metadata set that will allow us to either enter metadata manually or, by virtue of that drop zone, automatically assign metadata to the document. Now, of course, the first thing you probably notice is the pretty slick viewer. The 8-round viewer, pretty nice. It gives you the thumbnails on the left-hand side where you can do all sorts of cool things with the thumbnails. You've got annotations. You've got redaction. You can search annotations. You can do full text searching of the document and take advantage of term hit highlighting. So you can see a lot of robust, great features in this viewer. Now, let's go over to our metadata. As we remember, we dropped into the bank loans hot zone, so it automatically assigns a business group bank loans. Now I'm going to add a doc type. For purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to add preferred provider agreement. Now, you'll notice it paused for a second there. What it did is it said, oh, by virtue of this doc type, I'm going to give you another set or an additional set of metadata values available to you for data entry. Now, keep in mind, your solution would have different metadata fields, but the objective is you can have a nice, robust set of metadata based on the hot zone, as well as the doc type can drive what metadata is available for entry. Now, for a subtype, I'm going to say NA, don't really have one. Region, we'll leave it as North America. Legal center, why don't we add Canada? And then I'll come down to client, kind of a neat little control we've got over here. You see where it says investor account info. Let's type in MSI, and what you'll notice if I scroll just a little more, you'll see this little control that shows you these two options. And of course, there's a number of options by virtue of the criteria I entered. Now, what's nice here is I may not know, say, the account number, because of course we're looking for account info. I may not know the account number, but these four fields are linked together. So by virtue of entering criteria here, MSI, it'll search across these four fields and say, hey, for this account number, I found certain text in these other fields, so this may be the account number you're looking for. So you can link metadata fields to make it easier to find a particular value. Now, I'll choose this one right here. Now, this is what's called a multi-value field, which means I can have multiple accounts associated with this particular document. So I can click here, and when I'm done, you'll see these two cards attached. Now, these cards, again, are those metadata sets that we can search on later. So in a search screen, I can say, hey, show me where the client ID equals this, or the account name equals this, and go find this document. All right. We'll go to domicile country. Why don't we say Canada? All right. Now, from here, I'll scroll down. Now I've got my document information right here. And from here, I can enter the status. So I'll say executed. And when we talk about an effective date, we'll say the 31st. And you'll notice a couple of fields here, execution date and so forth. Now, one thing I want to call your attention to, kind of blasted right through it, but kind of critical. You'll notice here that little asterisk. That asterisk indicates it's a required field, which means you must enter that value in order to save the document. Not all fields are required, but you kind of have that set of required fields to ensure people are entering those minimum required fields to save the document. Now, governing law right here, I'm going to go off and we'll choose Alberta. Language of agreement. Now, here's another cool control, key terms and provisions. The idea here is for a particular document, I could say, you know what, if audit required is part of a provision in this document, I want to add that to the metadata. What that means is later I can turn around and say, show me all the documents where the audit required term is in there, okay, or provision, if you will. I can also say most favorite nations. All right, same premise. again, when I do a search later, I'll be able to say, hey, show me all the documents that meet that criteria. In other words, have most favorite nation clause. So you can have a concept where the documents are tagged with the clauses inside as well for searching. Here's fund information. Why don't we add something here? Again, similar to what we've talked about before, where I enter certain criteria project. See, don't know the fund ID or the OMS code or any of these other fancy codes, but I do know the name project is part of the legal name. So I can do a search across these fields by entering just a certain subset of data. Again, that whole concept of linked fields. All right. So I will go off and choose this one. You see, Canadian piece accepted. I'll scroll down. Now from here, I can go off and just hit save and close. But what I want to know, I want to keep an eye on here is, hey, when I look at this document later, or somebody else looks at this document later, more importantly, I want them to know about another document that may not match the criteria when they do the search. So I want to link this document to another document. So let's hit linked documents. And from here, you'll see a set of documents that are in there. I've got an NDA and I've got a sales spreadsheet. Now, what I want to do is make sure that anytime anybody searches this document, the one we're looking at right now, I want to make sure this NDA is, if you will, visible or apparent to them. So I'm going to link this document, okay, the NDA, to this document I'm looking at here, my ECM education piece. All right. So I've associated here. Now I'll hit save and close. And now my document is saved back into the repository. So let's do a quick search. So I'll hit document search and we'll go to business group. Remember we did bank loans. I'll hit search. And you'll notice here's a bunch of items in our result list. There's that education one we did. Now this entire result list, sometimes the result list is almost more important than the document. So what's nice is I can hit Excel here and it'll create an Excel spreadsheet that makes up all these documents, okay? And you can even export it to CSV if appropriate. Now, this is my nice little long list. You see ECM education and a bunch of other ones. Let's go back for a minute. I want to show you why we did that linking piece earlier. Go to bank loans and let's go to doc type. Remember what that document was? It was preferred agreement. So let's go back to a preferred provider agreement and let's hit search. Now you'll notice just our ECM education presentation shows up. And as I said to you earlier, you want to make sure that when somebody finds this document later, they're able to know that there's something else going on that I want them to take a look at. So you see this plus sign right here. I hit this plus sign and look, here's that NDA. So basically, if somebody finds this document, I give them the ability to say, there's a linked document. What is this? I can look at the NDA, click on it, and of course, in that slick viewer, up pops the document. So we can make sure that somebody can take a look at that NDA or linked document when they're searching that other document. What did you learn? Well, you'll learn that users can be easily guided through document import and metadata assignment, that pre-populating metadata can be simple, and document search can be very robust without significant effort from the users. So what are your next steps? Well, it's time to reach out to MicroStrategies so we can help you like we help our other clients.